Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show, where we love to talk about food, drink, recipes, and techniques, and where to shop, taste, and play. Let's go. Hey, everybody. Excited to have Chef Ivan Flowers back on the show. You know, he's a five-star chef and also a culinary instructor in Temecula Valley in Southern California, and he teaches youth and teens how to cook, which is awesome. And today he has a super easy recipe that I think even I could make, other than I'm allergic to seafood, so I'll have to wear gloves. But it is mixed seafood ceviche. It serves four, and literally, I think we can all do this. So welcome back, Chef. How are you?
Good, good. Nice to be back. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. We're on a lake, but there's no seafood in it, but there's fresh fish. Can you make
Yeah.
ceviche out of fresh fish, or does it always have to be
Oh,
seafood?
sure. No. You can use some of the best fish is like walleye and pike out of the Great Lakes is really, really good. What else? Oh, trout makes very good ceviche. But yeah, you can use freshwater fish.
Okay. Well, this is how easy this recipe is. You get a pound of frozen raw seafood mix. You thaw it.
Well, you can do that. It's better to always use fresh.
Okay.
It's better to always use fresh.
Okay. So this is if
But
you were in a hurry.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
but you can if you get something that's called block frozen, where they're freezing it on the boat and it's block frozen, and by the time you throw it out, it's not going to retain that much water. But you can use both. What I did was, this was a mixed seafood where, you know, it had mussels in it, it had surimi in it, it had lobster in it, it had whitefish in it. So I was using that. But basically, if you can get fresh, get fresh.
So, Chef Ivan, you know, you're using mixed seafood, right? So would you just, if you were going to go make this using fresh, could you go, okay, I'm going to put some mussels, like you were saying, you're going to do some crabs, some lobster. Are there specific seafoods that you want to do?
That's a good question. You actually can do a combination of both. So for the raw fish, you want to use something white, flaky, and sweet. Halibut, flounder, sole, striped bass, cod, pollock. You want to cut those into about 1/4-inch pieces. You want to go thin. When you marinate it, when you marinate the fish, you marinate it for about a half an hour in the lemon and the lime. And then I add pico de gallo to it and let it sit for another hour in the fridge. When I go to mix it in the bowl all together, that's when I add my cooked mussels, my cubed up cooked lobster, and my cooked shrimp. I don't put that in raw. I actually put it in cooked. Because lobster, shrimp, and mussels, they get kind of weird when you marinate them raw. So you have now a dichotomy of raw and cooked, and it's really nice on the palate. It's a wonderful mouthfeel. It's a wonderful texture. But those three, I do cooked.
Now, here's the question from someone who does not eat fish, right? Allergy-wise. So I have no clue. And so sorry if everybody already knows the answer. Would you mix seafood and fresh fish in the same dish?
Well, what do you mean by seafood and fresh fish?
Like freshwater fish, I mean. So would you take...
Yes, you can. Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely you can. Yeah. Like if you wanted to put some trout in it, for sure you could. You just want to stay away from anything that's oily. You don't want to use salmon. You don't want to use mackerel. You want to use really sweet, white, firm.
So this kind of ceviche is only with fish, right? So it's basically you're using the acid of the citrus, and then later the pico de gallo because of the chili right in there to marinate, and that actually cooks.
The acid actually cooks it. Yeah. But if you go too long, it actually makes it very mealy and cloudy because too much acid then goes into the flesh and it breaks it down to a point where it's not going to be fun to eat. You want it where it has that integrity and
Mm.
it's just marinated enough where it's fresh. It's super fresh. And I like to serve it cold in a refrigerated bowl, refrigerated fork, you know?
Okay. And then would you put avocado with it?
You could. You
I
could.
feel like avocado
You,
wants to
you,
be there.
like you would put the scallion and the cilantro on top, and then little pieces of avocado would be nice.
Yeah,
Would
okay.
work well. Nice
Would
mouthfeel.
would it go well with salad? Like if you
You
had a
can mix
salad
it
on the
into a
side?
salad. Yes, sure. Well, you could even mix it into a salad a little bit. If you wanted to put, a little bit of a very crisp iceberg or crisp romaine, you
Mm.
can certainly mix that in a little bit. Or you could do a nice little salad on the side. I like to serve it with crispy bread, crackers. It's just very refreshing and light, especially in the summer.
And then that would go nice with like a light white wine or a light beer,
Oh,
something
yeah.
light that way.
Something light, a light
Margarita.
beer, a Chardonnay. Yeah, yeah,
I feel a
yeah.
margarita coming on. It's because we're right by
Yes.
the water right now as we talk. I'm
You
looking
need a
out the
margarita. Yeah,
Yeah. Now, would you like, so we're doing this as it's something you don't have to cook, which I think is great in the summer months. Who wants to heat up the kitchen, right? So this is
yeah.
something that's easy to do. It's delicious. It's quick, especially if you have people coming over, right? Last minute, you could throw this together pretty quick, even though it has to chill,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But would you be able to use like the ceviche method with any other kind of protein, or is this strictly for fish?
Um, it can probably work on other proteins. Like if you were using very thin beef and very thin pork and stuff, it's not really pickling. Pickling would be vinegar, sugar, and salt. It's really a light marination. So if you had like really, really nice, let's say thin sliced filet, and you wanted to kind of do it that way, it's going to work really well.
So like a steak tartare, but with a little bit of a different
Yeah.
marinade.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not really
Yes.
cooking it then, because people eat
No.
sushi and fresh fish all the time. That's why you're saying you want it as
Yes.
fresh as possible or block
Yeah.
frozen. That's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
Where do you get like the frozen block of fish? Do you a grocery store or do you have to go to a fishmonger or how do you get
It
that?
depends on what grocery store. If they serve it block frozen, a lot of times it'll say it on the package. It'll be in the freezer and it's like block frozen packed on the boat.
Oh,
So
cool.
versus you want it packed immediately, because really a lot of seafood now in this country is portioned and then blocked IQF frozen. By doing that, if they freeze it just normally, the fish, when you take it out of the package, you squeeze it, all the water comes out. It's tons of water. But by block freezing it, what happens is it kind of just keeps the fish fresh without letting too much water in. It's a process that they use when they IQ, individually quick freeze things. And it's very doable.
Well, that's cool. Especially if you live away from
Yeah,
the ocean. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like if you live in the Midwest, well, then you're going to get a lot of fresh fish. Um,
yeah.
I mean, people really live off of fish when they have fish, if they like fish and it's in their, town, it's like, yeah, boat to table. It's, clean to get and easy. And I think it's healthy for you, right? It's a good source of protein
Oh
that's
yeah,
healthy.
yeah. Fish is very healthy. And of course, it depends. When you're eating the oily fish, like you're eating the mackerel. You're eating the salmon. It's got the omegas in it. It's got the healthy oils that you really need. So seafood is good. And then again, you got to watch. Certain seafood has a lot of mercury. You
Mm.
got to kind of check the list and see what's high on mercury. Certain tuna can be high. Some striped bass. I mean, if you think about it, when I was a kid, they fished the Hudson River in New York commercially for striped bass. That's
Oh,
wild. It's a wild concept.
yeah. But now look at what they're fishing. Lionfish now.
Yeah,
That's a people are starting to eat lionfish because it's an invasive
yeah,
species, and so that to me is fascinating of how we
yeah.
can change our palate to, so I always thought the lionfish was beautiful personally. Like,
Yeah, it is beautiful. Yeah.
I grew up, snorkeling with them, and now I know it's like, no, you're not cool, but you are. Um, but I wonder about that now, like changing up what it's like to introduce a new protein source to diners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's eat lionfish because if I, from what I understand, it's also incredibly toxic. So maybe you don't want to ceviche lionfish. You might want to cook it
Right.
more, or
Yeah. Yeah. It's
yeah,
like puffer fish, you know? It's
yeah,
like, what is it? What is it? Fugi? The puffer fish? Fugi?
yeah. But
Fugu,
pufferfish are
something where
beautiful. They're so cool.
yeah. And it's like you take your life in your hands unless the chef knows what they're doing.
Mm, yeah, I would want to know the
Little
chef
bite
that
on
was doing
death.
it. What are the kids like that you're teaching when you start bringing out like, octopus and stuff like that? That's all,
Well,
interesting looking.
I, I don't touch octopus anymore, only because they're just incredibly beautiful creatures. I
Sentient
don't really deal
beings.
with octopus. I keep it very basic. A lot of these young students, they like smoked salmon, a cold smoked salmon. A lot of them have never had that. They've never tried. I'll bring scallops in. They've never had scallops. Um,
Mm.
as far as mussels and oysters and clams, I wouldn't do them raw because it's too much of a liability. But like with the advanced classes, there are times where, we did the cooked mussels in a non-alcoholic garlic Chardonnay broth. We did clams where we baked them with Persiard and garlic and breadcrumbs, so we cook them. And for the most part, they're pretty adventurous. But then I have some students that they're afraid to eat a mushroom. They're afraid to eat a oven roasted tomato.
Mm.
They're not very adventurous. If something smells, I just showed them a video up in Scandinavia, I think it's Norway, where they eat, it's called strömsöker, and it's the canned herring that's
Oh yeah,
considered the smelliest food in the world.
like lutefisk. Isn't that the same as lutefisk? It's like,
Well, yeah, out of Minneapolis, yeah, right? Or the
hmm
shark, where they hang the
yeah, that's
shark for
fermented
like a
shark.
year.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
that's Viking food, man.
yes, yeah.
It's
I mean, there are some great cheeses in the world that smell, they knock you on your socks, but when you eat them, they're absolutely delicious. So kids, they're
mm.
very big with smell. If it's smelling, like blue cheese to them is a leap to the moon,
Oh, I love blue cheese, but only like
you
you can
know?
only have so much. Okay, so speaking of cheese, I have a question
Hmm.
because we were recently in Tucson and my friend Eve was like, "Here, Lisa, I know you love brie. Here's this whole thing of brie in the fridge." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm in." And
Yeah,
then like I realized I'd only had like she had like a quarter of a wheel or whatever, and I'm like, "Nancy, let's go get some bubbly. This is good stuff." But then I realized I had no clue what I was doing with it. It's normally you have a little slice or whatever, but this was too much for Lisa to handle. I should have called you. I should like help with the cheese. We should do a show on cheese. We should
on
because
cheese. Yeah,
we
yeah,
should because it's,
yeah. Cheese is
I feel like
wonderful.
we really, oh, and I have a cheese story for you I have another cheese story. So I want to do a show on cheese. We really should,
Yes,
especially with, the fall and the holidays coming.
yeah,
You can be adventurous with cheese. So here I am with
yeah,
this brie, and I made quesadillas out of brie cheese. And can I tell you, this is not something to say no to. This is a good thing. If you have good
yeah.
tortillas and a little bit of brie, now you could add a little
Hmm.
prosciutto or you could add a little bacon. I do believe I added a little bacon in there. And I'm just saying,
Hmm.
or is it salami? I did something like that. But the brie, yeah, that was really good. However, I don't understand what to do with this wax coating thing. Is it wax? Is it not? Can you eat it? Because I've always just been like, don't mess with your food, just eat it and swallow it. That rindy
Well,
thing, like,
the,
where are
the
we
the
on
thing
that?
with you definitely want to eat the rind. The thing with brie is you heated it, which is good. Like every Thanksgiving, Tracy bakes brie in a boule, in a French boule.
Mm,
So when you heat it, Also, if you were to eat it straight, you want to take it out of the refrigerator and let it sit for at least an hour and a half so it
Oh,
becomes runny. And you don't
that's
want to eat it
mm,
cold because if you eat it cold, it's like eating a piece of butter. But if
it's
you
not
have
the
a
same.
triple cream and you let it sit and it gets runny, yeah, you take your knife and you go right through that rind into that cheese and you eat both together.
Okay, so that's why it was a little different because I just thought it was just because there was a lot of it. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's a awesome tip. I mean, it's just, sometimes things like ceviche and cheese and having different cheeses, you, you don't have to do so much. And I wonder about
No.
like recipes that get too complex. It's fun. If we all want to be Julia Childs for a day, go for it. I say go for
Right.
it. But when we're so busy and things, I still think the recipes like this that are like the ceviche that's super healthy to have if you're not allergic like us. But I mean, that is like an easy to do recipe that, I mean, you said you do not want to leave it in there too long. So like you don't want to
No.
marinate it while you're at work. But when you come home, you
No.
could marinate it and
Yeah.
then, do some work, go walk the dog, come back and have,
Yeah.
wine and ceviche,
Yeah.
as a side thing or as a main meal, right? So that's
There
pretty
are some
cool.
people that do 10-minute marinades. They cut up
Wow.
the fish, they put on the citrus, they wait about 10 minutes, and that's it, you know?
I
But
think a lot of
usually
people
about that,
boating do this. They do it when
yeah,
they boat,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
It's,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
this is fascinating to me. So, can we do a cheese show? I want to talk cheese, but I do want to
We
tell you
should
this.
definitely one day do a cheese show. Yeah,
Let's do cheese. Let's do cheese. And we got wine and all that good stuff too.
yeah,
But I do have to tell you my cheese story because I think you're going to appreciate this because I know you don't like us to buy anything processed, right? That
yeah.
isn't done properly. So, we went to get gas on our way out of Tucson. We're driving to Texas and I dropped the credit card and it went down in the weird place in the seat. And I'm like, okay. So I'm looking, we travel full time. So there's an excuse to
Yes.
this. But I've also done things like I've left a French fry in the car for over 3 years to see if it would ever change and it never did. Okay.
Wow.
Well, I'm looking for, and I do clean the car out, but this is one of those that take the cake. I go under the seat looking for this credit card, and I don't know, but I know that I love Gouda. I really love Gouda, and I love
Yeah.
Havarti, but Gouda, I think it's from living in South Africa. You have Edam and Gouda was like normal. Everybody
Yes.
had the whole wheel, like, and you didn't even put it in the fridge half the time, depending on where you lived.
Ooh,
It just depending, but
yeah.
oh my gosh, and they had so many cheesemakers. I mean, it's Dutch. Anyway, there's nothing like fresh Edam cheese, like when you go to a cheese place and they just pull it out. Like,
Yeah.
anyway, so this is not the same kind of stuff, but it's those slices that you get in the grocery store that I thought, oh, as we drive, when we pull over, have a rest, we can have cheese and crackers, right? Well, apparently, I don't know what I did, but there was cheese under my chair and has obviously been there through all kinds of temperatures.
Oh
And
God.
Ivan, all they did was harden up a little bit and curl. Why didn't they melt? I was in Tucson in over 110-degree weather. Why didn't it
It's
melt?
interesting. Okay, I will tell you, it's very interesting because I've used, and my wife, the same thing. Gouda, for some reason, is not a good melting cheese. There are
Oh,
times
okay.
I've put Gouda on flatbreads, on bread, into the oven, under the broiler, and it fights you the entire time. The cheese has a hard time melting. For
Okay, so
whatever
it's not,
reason that is, it's not
no,
a
but
very
you
good
know what?
melting cheese.
No, and well, okay, so in South Africa, the difference was that, and I just totally spaced on me because I just went, oh my God, it's this processed stuff, right? This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
processed now because it's sliced.
Mm-hmm.
What are they putting on it to make it do that?
Mm-hmm.
But in South Africa, we would use Edam for that. If you wanted to
Yes,
melt it, it was Edam
yeah,
cheese
yeah.
instead
It
of the
was
Gouda.
processed, probably. Yeah, yeah, of course.
Ew. Yeah, if it was
Yeah,
pre-sliced, I mean, come on, they're putting stuff on it
yeah.
and
Of
we're the
course they
ones
are.
buying the
Yeah,
convenience, right? But I don't know how can so then I'm like going, well, what happens when you eat like how how is this even breaking down in our systems? Like, is it just curling up and
I
then we
know.
eliminate the curl? I mean, I know that sounds terrible. Sorry, people, but I'm just saying. It's a little bit much, but
Yeah.
really interesting. Okay, so ceviche, everybody, very simple, very easy. You can do some salad on the side, crackers, crispy bread. Would you add any vegetables to your ceviche? Like if you had cucumber or something that could be
Sure.
marinated like that? Because it seems to me
You
like it
could.
would
I
go
would,
well.
yeah, give a nice crunch. Yeah, I would add it at the end. Otherwise, it would get a little too marinated. So if you wanted to do a nice little, firm pieces, I would take the seeds out, take the skin off, and just use the sides. Do a medium dice, and throw that in at the end for sure. Yeah, give a nice crunch. A little cabbage, a little crisp cabbage, chilled cabbage, peas.
So basically, ceviche, you can get creative with it. There's all different ways you can do it, but the recipe for Ivan's mixed seafood ceviche is linked and listed in the show notes. And you can just go to blendradioandtv.com and type in ceviche, and you'll find it. Thank you so much, Chef Ivan. Always fun. We're
Oh,
going to
you're
do the
welcome.
cheese show. It's coming. Everyone, the
Okay.
cheese always wins, right? Do you
Okay.
prefer like chocolate or cheese? Which one?
Oh, that's a hard. I have to go with cheese
That's
over
me.
chocolate.
I do
I
too.
have to
Isn't
go with
that
cheese.
weird?
Yeah,
Yeah.
cheese and bread, and I'm fine.
I was
Yeah,
when I went vegan, it was a hard thing because it wasn't anything else other than the problem was
yeah,
cheese. That's
yes,
why I cannot be a vegan, is cheese
yeah,
and
yeah,
bacon. I'm
yeah,
not going to lie.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
all right. Well, listen, eat healthy. This is such a cool recipe for people to make. It's easy. I think you can get your kids involved with it too, which is fun. And again, blendradioandtv.com. Thanks so much, Chef Ivan. We'll talk to you soon.
You're
And I know
welcome.
today, as we
Okay.
record it, it's Chef Ivan and Tracy, his wife's 15-year anniversary. So happy anniversary from all of us
Oh,
here.
thank you,
So
Lisa.
have
You have a good
fun.
day.
You
Okay.
too.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show. Keep up with our podcasts at bigblendradio.com and our magazines at bigblendmagazines.com.